Today, we're focusing on a significant development, the large Boeing aircraft order placed by Qatar Airways.
And alongside that, the related discussion, maybe even controversy, surrounding a potential gift.
Yes, a gift from Qatar involving a Boeing 747-8, possibly for use as Air Force One.
So we'll look into the details of that huge aircraft order first.
We will, and then explore the offer of the 747-8, the considerations around that.
Including potential national security aspects.
Definitely. We'll also briefly touch on some other economic and defense agreements announced between the U.S. and Qatar around the same time.
It paints a broader picture of the relationship.
Exactly. If this analysis sounds interesting to you, please do consider liking and subscribing for more discussions like this one.
So, starting with the Boeing deal itself, the agreement with Qatar Airways is, well, substantial.
How substantial are we talking?
We're looking at a commitment for up to 210 aircraft.
210? That's a huge number.
It is. It breaks down into 130 Boeing 787 Dreamliners and 30 of the Boeing 777-9s. And there are options for an additional 50 of those wide-body aircraft.
Wide bodies, right. So larger planes.
Correct. The White House valued this order at around $96 billion.
$96 billion.
And they identified it as Boeing's largest ever order for wide-body aircraft.
Boeing's largest wide-body order. Qatar Airways also said it was their biggest procurement, didn't they?
They did. And it wasn't just airframes. Qatar Airways also finalized a deal with GE Aerospace.
For the engines, presumably.
Exactly. Over 400 engines to power these new Boeings. GE Aerospace noted it as their largest wide-body engine order.
So, records being broken on multiple fronts here.
Seems that way. The 787 Dreamliner, just for context, is known for fuel efficiency, lots of composite materials.
And wide bodies generally, they have that larger fuselage, multiple aisles, more capacity.
Correct. More passengers, more cargo than narrow-body planes.
Now, this transaction, valued at $96 billion, clearly provides a significant boost for Boeing.
Especially perhaps given some challenges they faced. Production slowdowns, fewer orders last year.
Right. And what about the economic impact here in the U.S. jobs?
Well, the estimates vary somewhat. The White House suggested it could support 154,000 American jobs annually.
And over 1 million domestic jobs total.
That was their figure. Boeing and Qatar Airways together gave a different estimate, around 400,000 U.S. jobs stemming from the deal.
Okay, so there's a range. But either way, the scale implies a pretty significant economic effect.
Unquestionably, a major impact for the U.S. economy and for Boeing's operations. Assembly is expected at their South Carolina facility.
And it's worth remembering, these job estimates often depend on methodology, right? Direct, indirect jobs, timeframes considered.
Precisely. Calculating the full ripple effect is complex.
Okay, let's shift to the second major part of this, the offer from Qatar.
The Boeing 747-8 jet offered to the U.S. government.
And this has certainly sparked a lot of discussion across the political aisle, too.
Yes, quite bipartisan interest or perhaps concern. The aircraft itself is valued somewhere around $400 million.
$400 million. And President Trump seemed open to considering it.
He publicly expressed willingness, yes. He framed it as a potential replacement, or maybe an addition, to the current Air Force One fleet.
Citing the age of the current planes.
Right. He described the current fleet as older, perhaps less advanced than jets used by some other Gulf nations.
He also mentioned plans for it after its service life, something about his presidential library.
He did state an intention for the donated aircraft to eventually go to his library after it served as Air Force One.
And the 747-8 itself, just to be clear, is the latest, largest version of the iconic 747.
Known for its size and very long-range capabilities.
So this proposal brings up several key considerations.
A primary one is the principle of accepting gifts, especially large ones, from foreign states.
Right. The potential for influence or even just the perception of influence.
Exactly. When a government official accepts something so valuable from a foreign power, it naturally raises questions. What are the motivations? What obligations might be implied?
And you mentioned bipartisan concern. Even some Trump supporters voiced reservations.
Yes, about the optics, the appearance of accepting such a significant donation from another government.
Then there's the national security dimension.
Absolutely critical when discussing presidential transport. Accepting a plane from another country that requires immense scrutiny.
You need to be absolutely certain about security, no surveillance capabilities, no hidden vulnerabilities.
A very thorough inspection process would be essential. Plus, adapting a commercial 747-8 to meet Air Force One's unique requirements is a huge task.
We're talking highly specialized security, communications, operational systems.
It's not just a paint job. The modifications would be complex and likely very expensive. Some estimates suggested hundreds of millions of dollars for that conversion.
Hundreds of millions, potentially, just for the refit. And the current Air Force One planes are already heavily customized 747s.
2 highly modified Boeing 747-200B aircraft, yes.
Now, President Trump did offer his reasoning for considering the jet.
He emphasized it would be a donation to the Department of Defense, not a personal gift.
And framed it as fiscally responsible.
Yes, suggesting it would be unwise to turn down a supposedly free aircraft, given the age and maintenance costs of the current fleet. He even drew a parallel to the Statue of Liberty.
As another gift from a foreign nation.
Right, and the Qatari Prime Minister described the potential transfer as a straightforward government-to-government transaction.
With no personal strings attached from their perspective.
That was the characterization, but still, concerns about the proposal remained widespread.
Okay, so beyond the big Boeing order and the 747 gift discussion, there were other agreements announced too.
Yes, during President Trump's visit to Qatar, other economic and defense deals were highlighted, totaling over $233 billion combined.
Including defense investments.
A statement of intent from Qatar regarding future defense investments valued at over $38 billion was part of that.
And specific defense systems.
Agreements were signed related to defense cooperation and also covering Qatar's potential acquisition of MQ-9B Reaper drones, remotely piloted aircraft.
Okay.
And also FS-Allied counter-drone systems.
So drones and systems to counter drones.
Essentially, yes. The MQ-9D is a long-endurance, high-altitude UAV, and FS-Allied is designed to take down hostile drones.
These agreements really underscore the broader relationship, don't they? Strategic, economic, going beyond just civil aviation.
They certainly illustrate a multifaceted partnership between the U.S. and Qatar.
So to recap, we've looked at that huge Boeing Qatar Airways aircraft order, Boeing's largest wide-body deal with significant potential U.S. economic impact.
We've also examined the complexities around Qatar's offer of a Boeing 747-8 jet for Air Force One use, the ethical, legal, and national security considerations involved.
And President Trump's perspective on why it might be considered, contrasting with the existing fleet.
Plus the broader context of U.S. Qatar relations, including those other substantial economic and defense agreements announced at the time.
It leads you to think about the longer-term implications, doesn't it? These massive international deals where economic interests meet national security and foreign policy.
Indeed. What are the lasting effects of agreements like these? And what sort of precedent does the proposed aircraft transfer set, whether it happens or not?
That's certainly something to reflect on further.
We hope this analysis has been informative.
Thank you for engaging with us today, and please do consider liking and subscribing for future discussions.